The envelope arrived 3 days after Marcus Hollow died. Inside was a cashier's check for $2.3 million, and a handwritten note that said, "I'm sorry for what I'm about to do." But Marcus Hollow had been dead for 72 hours when he wrote it. Detective Iris Vaughn held the paper up to the gray Seattle rain streaking down her office window and knew immediately. Someone was playing a game with the dead. The woman, sitting across from Iris, had the kind of composure that comes from years of practicing grief in private. Her name was Claire Hollow, 46, immaculate in a charcoal blazer, despite the storm outside. She'd been Marcus Hollow's business partner for 12 years, co-founders of a medical software company worth 8 figures. He didn't have family, Claire said, her voice steady. No siblings. Parents gone. Just me and the board. Iris studied. But someone received that money. His assistant, a 24-year-old named Owen Reeves, worked for Marcus for 8 months. Quiet kid. Never seemed particularly close to him. And you think Owen what? Forged this? I think Marcus was dying, and someone took advantage of that. Claire slid a medical report across the desk. Stage 4, pancreatic cancer. Diagnosed 6 weeks ago. He had maybe 2 months left. But 3 days before he died, he collapsed in his office. Massive stroke. The doctor said it was unexpected but not impossible given his condition. Iris tapped the envelope. Postmarked the day he died. Written in his handwriting. I assume you've verified that. It's his writing. That's what makes this insane. Outside, a fairy horn moaned through the fog. Iris stood and walked to the window, watching the city bleed into gray. Tell me about the day he died. Claire exhaled slowly. Thursday morning. Marcus came into the office earlier, around 6 a.m. Owen arrived at 8. I got there at 9. By 10:30, Marcus was on the floor of his office, unconscious. Paramedics arrived in minutes, but he was already gone. Stroke. Sudden. Final. Who was with him when it happened? No one. Owen had gone to get coffee. I was in a meeting. Security footage shows Marcus alone in his office from 10:14 to 10-20-8. When Owen came back and found him, Iris turned back. And this check, mailed from a post office 2 miles from our building. The timestamp is 11 a.m. that Thursday, after he was dead. Exactly. Iris felt it then, the pull of a question that didn't have an easy answer. I'll need to speak with Owen Reeves, and I want to see Marcus's office. How do you mail a letter after you're already dead? Marcus Hollow's office was a shrine to efficiency. Floor-to-ceiling windows, overlooking Puget Sound, minimalist desk. A single photo frame. Marcus shaking hands with a senator at some charity gala. Everything wiped clean. Sterile. Waiting. Owen Reeves stood by the door, pale and fidgety. He was small, soft-featured, with the nervous energy of someone who'd never been in trouble before. I don't understand why I'm a suspect, he said quietly. Iris didn't sit. You're not a suspect. You're a recipient of $2.3 million from a man who barely knew you. He did know me. We talked every day. About work. About life. Owen's voice cracked slightly. He knew he was dying. He told me things about regret, about wishing he'd done more with his time. I think he saw something in me, someone young enough to still make different choices. That's a generous inheritance for 8 months of inspiration. Owen flinched. I didn't ask for it. Iris moved to the desk, ran her fingers along the edge. The letter was postmarked after he died. How do you explain that? I can't. Did Marcus ask you to mail anything for him that morning? No. Did he give you any envelopes? Any instructions? Owen shook his head, then hesitated. Where did he? Before Wednesday, he handed me a stack of mail to drop off at the post office on my way home. Normal stuff. Bills, contracts. I didn't look inside any of them. Iris felt the shift. You mailed them Wednesday evening?
Yes.
Around 6. She pulled out her phone, checked the dates. The envelope to Owen was postmarked Thursday, the day Marcus died. Not Wednesday. Where's the security footage from Thursday morning? Iris asked. Claire, who'd been standing silently by the window, I can pull it up. They moved to the conference room. Claire's laptop glowed in the dim light as she navigated to the company's security portal. The footage was clean, time-stamped, high-definition. 10:14 a.m. Marcus alone in his office, leaning back in his chair, rubbing his temples. 10:18 a.m. He stands, walks to the window, stares out. 10-22 a.m. He sits back down, reaches for something on his desk, then freezes. His hand goes to his chest. 10-20-8 a.m. Owen enters with 2 coffees. Sees Marcus slumped forward, drops everything, runs. Iris rewound. Watched again. What was he reaching for? Claire zoomed in. Marcus's hand had been extending toward a small wooden box on the corner of his desk. That's his pillbox, Owen said softly. He kept his medication in there. Pain management, anti-nausea. Where is it now? Owen pointed to a shelf behind the desk. The box sat there, undisturbed. Iris walked over and opened it. Inside, 3 prescription bottles. She checked the labels. All filled 2 weeks ago. All nearly full. He wasn't taking his medication. She said, Dad. Claire frowned. That doesn't make sense. He was in constant pain. Maybe he wanted to be... Iris closed the box. Or maybe he wanted to stay sharp. Why would a dying man stop taking his pain medication? Iris spent the next 2 days pulling threads. She interviewed the board members, reviewed Marcus's financial records, checked his medical files. Everything pointed to a man preparing for death, but not for this. Then she found the second letter. It was buried in Marcus's personal email drafts. Never sent. Dated the same day he died. Subject. The truth about the money. Body. Claire will think I lost my mind. Maybe I did. But Owen Reeves deserves this money because he's the only one who didn't lie to me. The cancer was supposed to give me 2 months. I had plans. I had time. But someone accelerated the timeline. And I know who. I just can't prove it yet. If you're reading this, I'm already ganand. You need to look at what I was working on the night before I died. The file is called Discrepancy. Password. Hollow_T0-2-4. Find it. Finish it. Iris stared at the screen. Marcus knew someone was trying to kill him. She called Claire immediately. I need access to Marcus's computer files. Everything. 20 minutes later, Iris was back in the office, Claire hovering behind her as she navigated Marcus's laptop. She found the file .discrepancy-x-l-s-x.x. It was a spreadsheet, columns of numbers, dates, wire transfers, highlighted rows, notes in the margins. What is this? Iris asked. Claire leaned in, her face straining of color. Oh my God. What? These are company financials. But these highlighted transactions... She pointed to a series of transfers, each around $50,000, all routed to an offshore account. These aren't in our official books. Embezzlement. Someone's been siphoning money for months. Iris scrolled down. At the bottom of the spreadsheet, Marcus had written a single name in red. Claire Hollow. The room went silent. Claire stepped back, her voice shaking. No, I didn't. You hired me to investigate a dead man's letter, Iris said slowly. But what you really wanted was to make sure no one found this. I didn't steal anything. Then explain the account. I can't. Claire's hands were trembling now. I don't know what that is. Marcus and I built this company together. Why would I steal from it? Iris stood, her mind racing. Because he was dying. And you knew once he was gone, the board would want a full audit. You needed him dead before he could finish investigating. Claire's eyes went wild. You think I killed him? I think you had motive. He had a stroke. The doctors confirmed it. Strokes can be induced, especially in someone already dying. Claire grabbed her arm. Wait. If I wanted him dead, why would I hire you? Why would I bring you into this? Iris stopped. That was the question, wasn't it? If Claire was guilty, hiring a detective made no sense, unless she was planning to frame someone else. At this point, most people miss the real clue. Did you, Iris, return to Owen Reeves's apartment that night? He answered the door in sweatpants and a faded t-shirt, eyes red-rimmed. You've been crying, Iris said. I've been thinking. Owen let her in. The apartment was small, cluttered with textbooks and medical journals. A student's space, not a millionaire's. About Marcus, about what he said to me. The last time we talked the day before he died, he told me something strange. He said if something happens to me, don't trust the obvious answer. The obvious answer is always a lie. Iris felt the hairs on her neck rise. Did he say what he meant? No, but he seemed scared. Not of dying, of something else. What were you two working on together? Owen hesitated. He'd asked me to help him research. Something medical stuff. He wanted to know if certain drugs could cause strokes in cancer patients. What drugs? Blood thinners. Specifically warfarin. He was on it to prevent clots, but he was worried about the dosage. He thought someone might be tampering with his medication. Iris's pulse quickened. Did he say who? No, but he told me to keep it quiet, not even tell Claire why. Not Claire. Owen looked up, and his expression was haunted. He said, Claire's brilliant, but brilliance doesn't mean loyalty. Iris stood. I need to see Marcus's medical records again, and I need to talk to his doctor. Dr. Anya Patel met Iris in a sterile white office that smelled like antiseptic and secrets. She was 50 sharpied with the exhausted patience of someone who delivered too much bad news. Marcus Hollow, she said, pulling up his file. Stage 4 pancreatic cancer. Warfarin prescription for clot prevention. I saw him every 2 weeks. Did you notice anything unusual in his final weeks? Dr. Patel frowned. He missed his last 2 appointments. That was unusual for him. He was meticulous. Why would he miss them? I assumed the pain was too much. But when I called to check in, he said he was fine, just busy. Iris leaned forward. Could someone have tampered with his warfarin dosage? Dr. Patel's face went cold. If someone increased the dose significantly, yes, it would thin his blood to dangerous levels. Combined with the strain on his system from the cancer, she paused. It could absolutely trigger a stroke. Would it be detectable in an autopsy? Not unless someone was specifically looking for it. Warfarin, overdose symptoms, mimic natural stroke causes. And given his condition, no one would question it. Iris felt the pieces clicking together. Marcus knew he was dying, but he didn't want to die this way as a victim. He wanted to die on his own terms, and someone stole that from him. Who had access to his medication? Iris asked his assistant. His business partner. Anyone who entered his office. Iris stirred. Thank you, Dr. Sata. Outside, the rain had stopped. The city glittered under yellow lights, indifferent to the weight of what Iris now carried. She pulled out her phone and called the forensics lab. Need an exhumation order for Marcus Hollow. And I need a tox screen for warfarin overdose. If you were investigating this case, who would you suspect, Claire? Who had financial motive? Or Owen, who received the money? Think about this, what would you do? 3 days later, the results came back. Marcus Hollow had lethal levels of warfarin in his system at the time of death. Enough to guarantee a stroke within hours. Iris sat in her office, the report in her hands, and made a list. Claire had motive. Embezzlement. Owen had access. Daily contact. Both had opportunity, but neither made sense. If Claire wanted Marcus dead to cover up embezzlement, why leave a digital trail pointing directly to herself? Why hire Iris? If Owen poisoned Marcus for the inheritance, why write himself into a letter that implicated him immediately? The obvious answer is always a lie. Iris closed her eyes, replayed everything. The envelope, the timing, the money, the fear in Marcus's voice when he told Owen not to trust the obvious answer, and then she saw it. She grabbed her coat and drove to the post office, the one 2 miles from Marcus's office. She showed the clerk a photo of Marcus. Do you remember seeing this man on Thursday, October 12th? The clerk squinted. No. What about this man? She showed Owen's photo. Nope. What about her? Claire's photo. The clerk's face brightened. Oh yeah, she was here. Around 11. Mailed something. Express. Iris felt her chest tighten. You're sure? Positive. She was in a hurry. Paid cash. Iris drove back to the office. Found Claire in the conference room, going over financial statements. The post office clerk identified. You, Iris said. You mailed the envelope to Owen the day Marcus died. Claire looked up, her face unreadable. Yes. You want to explain that? Claire set down her pen. Marcus asked me to, the night before he died. He handed me the envelope, sealed, and told me to mail it the next day at 11 a.m. Exactly. No earlier, no later. Iris stared at her. Why, I don't know. He said it was important. That it was part of something he was setting up. Claire's voice cracked. I thought he was just ... tying up loose ends. Saying goodbye. I didn't know what was in it. And the embezzlement. The offshore account in your name. Claire's laugh was bitter. That's the genius of it, isn't it? Marcus created that account. Routed money through it to make it look like I was stealing. He was building a frame. Why? Because, said a voice from the doorway, he needed someone to take the fall. Iris turned. Owen stood there, holding a USB drive. I found this in Marcus's desk yesterday, Owen said quietly. Hidden in a false bottom. It's a video, recorded the day before he died. He plugged it into the laptop. Marcus's face filled the screen, gaunt, exhausted, but his eyes were sharp. If you're watching this, I'm already dead. And if everything went according to plan, you're very confused. Good, let me explain. Iris leaned forward. I've been poisoned. Not by Claire. Not by Owen. By someone I trusted more than anyone, my doctor. Dr. Anya Patel. Iris's blood went cold. 3 months ago, I told Anya I wanted to stop treatment. I wanted to die on my own terms, with dignity, while I still had my mind. She refused. Said it was unethical. But then I caught her in my medical records, in my financials. She'd been skimming from my insurance payments for years. Small amounts. Undetectable. But I'm good with numbers. I saw the pattern. Marcus paused. his breathing labored. When I confronted her, she smiled, said I had no proof, said if I tried to expose her, she'd make sure I suffered every day until I died. And then she started increasing my warfarin, slowly, carefully, enough to make my final week's agony, enough to kill me before I could finish gathering evidence. So I made a plan. I stopped taking the medication she gave me and switched to a pharmacy she didn't know about. I documented everything. I set up the offshore account in Claire's name, to make it look like there was another suspect. I wrote the letter to Owen not because he deserves the money, though he does, but because I needed someone innocent in the crossfire to make the whole thing look messy, chaotic. I needed people asking questions. I needed a detective, and I knew Claire would hire one. Marcus looked directly into the camera, because Claire's not a thief. She's just the person I trust to finish this. The proof is all here. Bank records, prescription logs, everything. Need to destroy her. He smiled sad, tired, but triumphant. I'm sorry I had to die to make this work, but I'd rather die as a chess player than a victim. The video ended. The room was silent. Iris stood, her mind reeling. He killed himself. Owen nodded slowly. He took a massive dose of warfarin the night before he died, enough to trigger the stroke at a specific time. He planned his own murder to expose hers. Claire's face was ashen. He made himself the bait. Iris grabbed her phone, already dialing. I need a warrant for Dr. Anya Patel. No, 2 weeks later, Dr. Anya Patel was arrested. The financial records Marcus compiled combined with forensic analysis of his prescription history. She'd been embezzling and poisoning him for months. Owen donated half the inheritance to a pancreatic cancer foundation. Claire took over the company fully, cleared of all suspicion. Iris sat in her office, the case file closed, and thought about Marcus's final words on that video. I'd rather die as a chess player than a victim. She understood now. Marcus hadn't been running from death, he'd been controlling it, taking back the one thing that cancer and betrayal had tried to steal, his agency. But there was something else too, something darker. Marcus had used people Claire, Owen, even Iris herself as Pete says, on his board. He'd set them up, manipulated their actions, made them suspects in his own death to create the chaos he needed. Iris opened her notebook and wrote down the lesson she'd carry from this case. The detective's code, case 47, justice doesn't always come from the living. Sometimes, the dead speak loudest. But beware the victim who plans her own end, because the line between justice and revenge is thinner than you think. And when someone controls their death, they control everyone left behind. She closed the notebook. Outside, Seattle was waking up under a rare break of sunlight. The case was over, but the question remained. When you're dying, how far would you go to make sure the truth survived?